Hello, Epic 7 newbies, this is Suspect Amy, and I'm here to do a quick video about this sweet, sweet girl here, Veronica, who happens to be on deck for a buff in the next balance patch. I can't wait to use her more. The best thing about her is her incredible speed imprint. Okay guys, what the hell? Apparently if you weren't a poopy Epic 7 player like me, you would know that Veronica is an Episode 5 story handout unit, similar to how Aiden was in Episode 4. And as such, you need to get her imprints from the Episode 5 story. Look at this. I think I never cared about these things at all. Apparently, if you go to some areas, they have a blue tree of Genesis, and there's a golden one in other areas. Why can't they just give us a maxed unit for free without all of this extra work? Getting to Episode 5 is already a lot of work for new players. Anyways, to Max Imprint Veronica, I think you just need to get to Act 3 in Episode 5. You only need to complete the first investigation level of each of these two trees. This whole thing should take you about 15 minutes, so there's no reason not to, right? This content has been around for a year, so there are plenty of videos on it, but none of them are walkthroughs. You're just trying to copy button clicks from the videos, but you don't really know why, or when RNG works against you, it becomes a confusing mess. Hopefully I can do a tad better. Okay, for starters, just know that the key to every one of these fights is this right here. All bosses have a mechanic where, if you use a soul burn, it applies weakness on them, making all of your attacks hit harder. The first 4 battles in the blue tree of Genesis are pretty easy, so I'll try to walk through them really quick. Mystery of Evolution 1. Let's just start trying to get souls, so S3 with your mushroom guy. Now the enemy has counterattack buff, so you don't want to attack him. Use Scorpion's non-attack S2 to apply poison here. Enemy still has the counterattack buff, so use Mushroom's S2 to heal. The boss's buff is gone now, so you can S3 with the Scorpion guy to apply more poison. I would just keep healing with your Mushroom guy to make sure he doesn't die. Okay, technically you can soul burn with your Scorpion now, but the enemy has that pesky counterattack buff again. Instead, let's use our non-attack S2 again, to build up even more poison stacks on the boss. Scorpion's Soulburn S1 actually detonates the poisons, so building up a bunch of poison stacks allows for massive damage later. Just keep healing with Mushroom, we want that counterattack buff gone. Perfect. Counterattack buff is gone. There's 2 poison stacks. This is when your Scorpion can soul burn and detonate everything for huge damage. Because we soul burned, the boss has the weakness debuff. All your attacks hit pretty hard, so it's easy to finish him off. Mystery of Evolution 2. What's great about this Virus guy is his S2 strips and applies unbuffable. Also, his S1 double attacks if the target has a debuff. The general rule of thumb with him is if his S2 is available, look for buffs to strip. If his S2 is not available, look for enemies with a debuff that he can double hit. Save his S3 as a finishing move at the end. The boss gets a bunch of skill bonuses from being buffed, so let's use Fierce's S2 here to strip the boss. With the Scorpion guy, let's use S3 to apply poison everywhere. Fierce can just S1 into the boss for a double hit since he's debuffed. Scorpion should S2 to add more poison stacks. We want to build these up again for his Soulburn S1. Fierce's S2 is up now, so let's go ahead and strip off the escort buff from the minion. This allows our attacks against the boss to hit a bit harder. Follow that up with an S1 double attack on the boss. Okay, Scorpion guy. 2 stacks of poison, let's go ahead and soul burn S1 to detonate these and trigger weakness. Use Fierce's S3 to finish the fight. Mystery of Evolution 3. I started with Fierce S2 because I want to get unbuffable on the boss. He has an annoying mechanic where he stealths every turn, so keeping unbuffable up on him is a priority. With Gargoyle, you want to S1 the boss. This should land Restrict on him. The boss also pushes himself quite a bit when he attacks, so Restrict will slow him down. Since the boss has a debuff, go ahead and S1 him with Fierce for a double attack. Use Gargoyle's S3 to provoke the boss. Gargoyle has a Bologna kind of mechanic where he counterattacks if he's hit enough times. The provoke makes sure this will happen. The boss is debuffed, so we'll Fierce S1 him again. Fierce should be able to lap here. Use his soul burn to trigger weakness and then finish the boss with his S3. Mystery of Evolution 4. Start with Mushroom S3, I mean, why not? Use Gargoyle's S3 to provoke the cube thing. If you don't, Then the cube will just cleanse and buff the boss. You do not want this boss to get a buff since it basically supercharges his skills. Honestly, at this stage, if the cube is provoked, the rest of the battle is a piece of cake. Just S1 the boss like crazy and be sure to use Soul Burn as soon as it's available. Also use the mushrooms S3 whenever possible, and the battle will be over in no time. Okay, now let's go to this golden tree thing, and we'll start with Mystery of Evolution A. The awesome thing is that A through D uses the exact same crew that you just used, so you're familiar with their skills and mechanics. 3 notes about this battle. 1 is if you kill that guy with the arrow in the back row, he'll give your mushroom a greater attack buff, so you want to try and align that with your Soul Burn if you can for massive damage. 2nd, they heal when you AoE. So try not to AoE unless Scorpion applies the unhealable debuff. Unhealable is important for this 3rd note as well. If the boss goes below 50% health, he heals back up to full. Luckily, Scorpion's S1 will keep increasing debuff duration, so you should be able to keep unhealable on the boss for the whole fight. Okay, now that you know this, let's rock. With the mushroom, S1 the up arrow guy. Scorpion guy, this is where we S3 to get unhealable up on everyone. With Gargoyle, let's just S3 provoke on the boss. Remember that Gargoyle counterattacks after he gets hit a few times, so we'll start building this up. Since everyone has unhealable, we can do AoE attacks, so use Mushrooms S3 here. Hopefully you're able to kill the up arrow guy in the back so that Mushroom can get buffed. Soul Burn Mushrooms S3 here. At this stage, the boss is weakened, and we blocked his 50% mass heal thing, so it's easy to finish him off. Just make sure to use Scorpion S1 to keep the debuffs going, and everyone else can focus on damage. Mystery of Evolution B. For this battle, just know 3 things. If you hit the minion with a face buff with an extra attack, you'll get a bunch of buffs, and luckily Fierce will double attack anyone who has a debuff using his S1. Once Fierce is buffed, he laps like crazy and hits really hard, so we'll take advantage of this. 2nd, this boss will grant himself skill nullifier when someone dies, making the battle take much longer. Try to make sure you always have unbuffable on him. And lastly, AoE attacks do basically no damage while the minions are alive, so strategize around that. To start with, we'll use Fierce S2 to strip buffs from the boss and apply unbuffable. Next is Scorpion. I was debating whether to S1 the boss and increase unbuffable duration, but it's best to just S3 here. This puts debuffs on the face minion so that Fierce can double attack him. Mushroom should just S1 the boss since AoE damage is reduced right now. There's some RNG here where the face minion's debuffs get cleansed, but it's pretty rare. If that happens, I would restart the run. Now with Fierce, you want to S1 the face minion, and since he has a debuff, we'll get the extra attack along with those juicy buffs. Reapply unbuffable on the boss with Fierce S2. Scorpion should have Soul Burn available now, so he can Soul Burn S1 on the boss to detonate poisons and trigger weakness. Since the boss is weak, and Fierce still has those big buffs, let's S1 the boss for a double attack. With the mushroom, you should be able to S1 the boss to kill one of the minions through escort. If the boss has unbuffable, he won't give himself skill nullifier, but he does cleanse. Let's just have Fierce reapply unbuffable again with his S2. Scorpion guy should S2 to reapply poison. With Fierce, you want those buffs again, so S1 double attack the face minion. He should lap, then just S1 the boss. With the boss being weak, just keep doing as much damage as you can and he'll go down quickly. Mystery of Evolution C. This one is surprisingly easy. The only thing you need to be aware of is that single attacking the minion with the little skull icon will apply poison to the boss. As we know by now, Scorpion's S1 Soul Burn detonates, so we just want to get as many poison stacks on the boss so that Scorpion can Soul Burn for huge damage. For starters, let's have Fierce remove the boss's evasion buff with his S2. Gargoyle should S1 the skull guy to poison the boss. Scorpion can S3 to poison everyone. This is also important, so Fierce can S1 the skull guy with double attacks since he's debuffed. And now Scorpion can Soul Burn detonate the boss for huge damage. At this stage, it should be easy to finish off the boss with any attacks you want. Mystery of Evolution D. This boss is kind of a pain. There's 3 stages here. It's probably easier if I walk through them as we go. Just S one of the lanterns until Fierce is able to S2 and strip the counter buff from the boss. Just S2 the boss with Scorpion, because you want to save your S3 for Phase 2. If you did the above turn order, your mushroom should be ready to soul burn S3. Do it to get weakness on the boss. With Fierce, just S1 the boss. Since he has the poison debuff from Scorpion, this means you can double attack to push phase. Now, in each phase, at 70% health and at 40% health, the boss gets some buff, and the only way to remove it is to do something to the lantern, who has a weird buff on them. In this phase, you need to hit this particular lantern twice while the lantern has a debuff. This is where Gargoyle saves the day. Use his S3 to apply the provoke debuff on the lantern. With Scorpion, use his S3 to do some damage to the hidden boss and account for one of the lantern hits. Gargoyle should counter-attack and count for the second hit, removing stealth from the boss and ending the phase. But you can see the boss is already close to 40% health, so Phase 3 will start soon. Use Ferris S2 to remove buffs from the boss and use Mushroom S1 to punch the boss into Phase 3. This phase is annoying. The boss is immune to all damage, so you can't even poison him like you could when he was hidden. To remove this buff, we need to hit the tagged lantern 2 times using a buffed hero. The first hit is easy. Gargoyle still has immunity, so just S1 the lantern, and that's done. Now we just need one more hit from a buffed ally. We have no choice but to S1 lanterns until we get to Mushroom, who can use his S2 to give someone a shield. Who he gives the shield to is random, so just S1 until the shielded hero can S1 the lantern. This will break the boss's buff, and at this stage you can just beat the boss down easily. Anyways, there you have it, folks. You should have all of the imprints you need to max Veronica just in time for her balance adjustment. That's all I have today. Thanks for watching my video. Bye, everyone.